Hello, Eric Robert Powell again, Amen Hotep, known as Mabus. Now we go into our last segment. Now for the meaning of the name Mabus himself. Excuse me. The first two letters in Mabus stand for the goddess Ma'at, who typifies the basic woman, in particular the black woman, because she is the mother of all mothers. Ma'at stands for virtue, justice, love, understanding, all of the righteous ingredients which are inside the woman herself, because she's a mother and she has to raise society, she has to raise the children. We also have the name Ab, which in ancient Egypt means the heart of the individual. In ancient Egypt, your heart had to be as light as a feather, or you were destined to eternity in hell. We also have in the letters BA the Egyptian Ba, which represents the soul of the individual and hopefully the purity of it. Now, the last three letters are BUS, which means that the white Europeans have been taking our people for a ride. Bucyrus is the name of an ancient city in ancient Egypt, the home of the gods themselves. It is here where we find in the scriptures, "Let us create man in our image, after our likeness." It was an experiment, actually, to take out the melanin content within an individual and see how they would behave. There was a group of scientists who studied toddlers for over 30 years. They had a white baby, the rest were colored, Asian, black, whatever. All of the children got along and played with their own toys. They all had the same toys, they all had the same food. However, the little Caucasian babies would continuously fight with their melanin-contented peers. They would steal their toys, they would be aggressive and beat the other children. Now, this study went on for over 30 years. The scientists finally found out that it was because of the lack of the melanin content in the Caucasian baby which made it so aggressive. And this is where you get the verse, "I am so sorry I created man." The white man in particular, which began with the European Jews, they're not Semites, by the way. They are not descended from the biblical Shem, which would make them Semites. They are descended from Japheth and Gomer, who were Europeans. So anti-Semitism is a lie of the Jews. They are not Semites. In 526 BC, Amosi Anchor, known as Amosi II, was our high priest. And he took them originally when they were black, but they were perverted. Perverted thinking gives you perverted acts. And so what happened was that he tried to reason with them and give them the Torah, the laws that would govern their lives, hopefully successfully. However, at one point, because they murmured so much in the wilderness against him and their maker, Moses went into his robe and pulled out his arm. He was a black man. And he showed them a white arm and hand and said, I will curse you into nothingness and the opposite of God. You will lose everything that you were originally given if you do not obey God or myself. They continued to murmur in the wilderness, and they were getting ready to stone Moses. This is in the scriptures. So he went to speak to God, the Pharaoh, and he said, these people, these Jews, are ready to stone me. What should I do? So he went back, and they continued in their sinful endeavors. So he cursed them white with my assistance. He was my brother at the time, back in 526 BC. With that, once they were all turned white, they called it leprosy, but it was actually turning them stone white. The whole congregation of Israel is what, at that time, they stoned them to death. There's a part in the scriptures where it says that he broke the tablets and therefore he died under a pile of stones or whatever, and nobody has found his body to this day. Now the stoning of Moses, the one who they profess to love and adore, means the death penalty for these people. And they're also perverted sexually, which perverts the rest of the world. That's another death penalty because it's an abomination in the Torah, and they know it. And they're all gay and lesbian, save a few. Now, Bucyrus, the city, we have the name Iris, which was my first name as Amenhotep. And we also have the name of the star Sirius. So the European Jews took out my name as Iris, took out the star's name, Sirius, basically. And what we have left is a bus. Well, they took out my name, and now they're giving our people a ride after they've stolen everything from Africa and Egypt. Jew is supposed to be spelled J-U-E, as in Judah or Judea. They spell it J-E-W, which is from the word jewelry, after they stole all of the jewelry from the 32nd dynasty of Cleopatra VII, overran Egypt, Africa, and the rest of the world, and stole all their minerals, diamonds, rare stones, and kept them for themselves. The dollar, of course, is not even on the gold standard anymore. It's worthless paper. Now, also, I should mention that the original Garden of Eden was in Bucyrus, where the gods called the Elohim lived. And at this time, I lived there, my father lived there, and the rest of the gods lived there, the 12. Inherent in the name Bucyrus is, well, as I said, Sirius, Iris, and U.S. for the United States, where I now reside. And let me see. The name Iris, by the way, is named after a flower of immense properties, magical properties, which you can find out on the World Wide Web. The one I have is a bluish purple color. There are some yellow irises, which are called now the lilies of the field. Lilies is the great whore of Israel. And Israel, of course, with their whoredoms and their naked TV shows and whatever, and record albums, have changed society upside down. I will take care of that and my colleagues. Finally, I'd like to recall to you that these gays and lesbians killed the Virgin Mary, which is so serious, no pun intended, as to warrant the death and execution of every Jew. Now, they have killed approximately 7 billion people of color since 526 BC until this day. Eye for an eye, hand for a hand, foot for a foot, limb for limb, life for life. We'll take care of them. Even their children, according to the scriptures, will not survive, neither will their women or their men. They are a disease. Now, we'll go into this last segment about the disease. Their god is called Beelzebub, and Beelzebub is the common housefly. We never gave them proper burials because they were so wicked. As we mummified our bodies, we did not decay. They decayed into maggots and flies. Now, this process is never broken. It's a straight line. So that when they multiply or have children, they have the same qualities as the flies that they were originally made from. This is where you get the movie The Fly with Vincent Price, The Fly Part 2. They have a saying in their Moloch temple where they kill a lot of our people and torture them and strip them and nail them to crosses. No spiders allowed, because spiders catch flies. I should mention, before I leave, that the word Spider-Man, when you reduce it to the smallest digits, is a 26 plus 19, which equals 45, which is a 12/26, 1956, with a 9/5 time zone and the number 421. As I said before, 4,000 years before Christ, 2,000 years later is the 6th day, as the 6,000th year. God is known as 10th. It's time to do away with these people. Armageddon is right on time. Anyone who does anything against our people again will suffer the consequences severely. With that, I would like to leave you one last word. The name Mabus, when you take it as a total and reduce it all the way down, equals the 714. My 7 as my name, the 14 as my birth, and triple sevens. For now, I'll say goodbye. I hope this was informative for you. Be ready for the next segment. I'm sure you'll appreciate it. Goodbye to all. Good luck and Godspeed.